Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Fazbear Entertainment would like you to put your hands together for the one, the only, Freddy Fazbear.
Rewritten! Freddy's hesitance at the entrance of the dark room was enough to send alarm freezing up Gregory's body. Gregory watched the shadows, the boxes and storage racks not appearing any different than the first time he had come through. But looking up at Freddy, he knew that there was danger. "Where did you say this was?" Chica asked, glancing down the moon. "There was a second secret security office behind the real one," Moon explained. "The door looked exactly like the back of a storage closet, but it was already opened up for us, and it led here. I don't know this place. It looks kind of like old storage." Everything was so cold underground. A layer of moisture clung to Gregory like he had splashed around in a puddle, making his teeth chatter. The change in temperature had been sudden on their way down here, washing over him the moment that they had first navigated through the old storage room. Now, chills ran up and down Gregory's spine, radiating from the 500-foot drop that Freddy and the others had been held above. "Do you think we should search around some more?" Chica asked, looking to Freddy. Freddy still hadn't moved. Seeming to notice that all eyes were now on him, Freddy shook himself, ears pinned against his head as he took a step back. Yeah, we should keep searching. If Vanessa is keeping Gregory's brother anywhere down here." At the mention of his brother, Gregory stopped breathing. A panicky, shrieking voice was barely being held down inside of him. It was like someone was banging their fists against a locked door, begging for reality to be better than he was beginning to think it was. No, stop. Hey. Gregory's eyes snapped open. Moon appeared much closer than he was before. But Moon was attempting to smile, keeping his hooks curled carefully away from him so he wouldn't cut him. "I promise I'll find him and get him back," Moon told him calmly. "This is literally what I was built for. We just have to hurry." They all looked back, and Freddy seemed to realize a bit too slowly that they were all waiting for him to say something. "Yeah." Freddy trailed off again, staring bug-eyed at the sheet of darkness before them. "What's wrong?" Gregory asked, getting a little freaked out by Freddy's behavior. Monty said, "Oh, right, I forgot. Freddy's scared of the dark." "Wait, what?" Gregory blinked up at him. "We've been in the dark the entire night." "No, that dark wasn't real dark," Freddy said, shifting uncomfortably, eyes still locked onto the void in front of them. "We had the windows on the roof. We could see the moon and the stars. It lit the place up plenty well. But this..." "We'll just need to go together," Roxy urged, stepping in the direction of the entrance and putting her markings on full brightness, still holding Chica's hand for guidance. "Come on, we'll be fine. There's no way that Vanessa could take on all of us by herself." Somehow, the words didn't reassure them. Moon followed without hesitation, but Monty glanced back to see if Freddy was coming with them. Freddy took in a deep breath, closed his eyes, and entered. Immediately upon passing the threshold, Gregory started coughing again, slapping his hand to his face. "Are you okay?" Freddy asked, leaning down. "Yeah," he croaked. "Dusty." The cold air was dense and musty, a sharp tinge of mildew and rust joining it. He tried his best to take in shallow breaths, his lungs still shuddering as he left the light behind. Gregory didn't need to have a fear of the dark to be unsettled by all this. The darkness dwelling here was like a physical obstruction, as heavy as tar. The freezing air was thick with it, making it hard to keep taking steps forward, like they were trying to walk underwater. Roxy glowed as bright as she could, but it was eaten up by the shadows, like she was simply feeding it and making it even darker in response. faint glints of objects came out to them, barely showing the direction the aisles were pointed, keeping the rest hidden away. Patchy cardboard boxes were lined up together, covered in so much dust they appeared gray. Several cockroaches scuttled away from them, piles of upturned dead bugs littering every corner. The concrete was like ice beneath his shoeless foot, and each step sent up a cloud that was dimly illuminated through the beaming glow of the animatronic's colorful eyes. He was shivering uncontrollably at this point. Cold. It was so cold. Gregory wished more than ever that he still had the flashlight from the Fazwatch. He had taken it for granted. Only a few steps from the entrance later, someone ran into someone else, the resulting yelp causing something to be knocked over. A loud clatter was heard, the rippling noise of a circular piece of metal settling on the concrete. "Hey!" Roxy snapped. "Sorry, wait, where are we?" Monty began, hands reaching around and smacking Chica in the face. I'm lost, guys, help, Stop, all of you stop!" Moon sighed. Gregory could only see him by the light of his golden eyes, the white pupils dilated wide like a cat's. "Let me lead the way. I'm the only one who can see in the dark." Moon made his way around the shadowed figures, finding the front. "Here, grab my hand. Everyone grab someone else's hand. We all need to stay together." They took a few minutes sorting each other, while Freddy picked Gregory up. He gladly retired to the writing compartment, leaving the cold concrete behind, listening as they got situated around him. It was much, much warmer in the compartment, instantly making him relax, goosebumps retreating. The smell of rust was somehow still sneaking inside to join him. He pulled in slow breaths of dust and mold. Eventually, everyone had someone else's hand, in a chain. He wasn't sure what the order of the chain was at the front, but Freddy was at the back, his paw holding Monty's claws. Slowly they began to pick their way through the aisle, getting warnings from Moon whenever there was a hidden obstacle, whether it be a lump of clothes or a box full of spare parts. Gregory couldn't see much through the viewing feed, mostly just sitting there and watching a bunch of muted pixels that looked a little bit like an army of black ants crawling over the screen. He caught the edges of more boxes, piles of moth-eaten papers, as well as tubs full of crumpled tools, stained with brown, oily marks. Cockroaches continued to buzz through the air, making them cringe away every time they flew too close. His stomach turned with each thick, choking breath that he took, feeling like he was sticking his face directly into a feather duster. Something sounded wrong. All the clanking footsteps of everyone was noisy, but he swore they were bouncing strangely against a farther wall, the echo not in time with their original pace. Gregory tensed, listening. And then, with an awful surge of dread, he picked up on another sound. The heartbeat. It was back. Gregory started to feel sick. The place radiated danger from its dust-covered surfaces, the thick sheets of cobwebs, the rusty nails scattered across the floor. He wanted out, now. The only thought that kept him from protesting was the hope of finding James. He was close. Gregory could feel it. They couldn't have come all this way for nothing. After a while of navigating, a faint amount of gray light began to appear ahead. They exited the aisle into what looked like a road of empty space, down the middle of the different racks. The doorway, the one that he and Moon had used to get down here, was still open. Gregory puzzled over what they had seen in the secret office when he and Moon had passed it up. He hadn't put much thought into it when they were searching for the others, but now it made him shift uncomfortably. There were many computer screens in there, all set out on an overcrowded desk covered with documented papers, stuffed filing cabinets lined up in less than orderly rows. Newspaper clippings were taped to the wall, black ink redacting most of the paragraphs out. Each computer had the same basic security footage of the building that the first office had, but it also had so much more. There were views from hidden cameras in the different animatronics' private rooms to let the night guard watch them while they sleep. Getting to the secret office required a descending staircase beyond the fake closet wall, like a tiny crevice for a rat to crawl down into, the secret passageway only making the entire thing even more suspicious. Why was all that hidden down here anyway? Wait. The chain stopped, a few of them running into each other. What? What is it? Roxy sighed. There's more stuff over there. Moon's golden eyes glanced back at everyone, his hooks pointing to the right, the opposite direction from the secret security office's open door. What is it? Monty repeated. Is it... No, I don't see anyone. Moon hushed their worry. The curiosity edged into fear as he said, It looks like a bunch of extra doors at the back, like offices or something. Gregory's brother could be in there, Freddie spoke up, for the first time since they had entered the room. If this is all a secret, it could be where Vanessa's been working. With that in mind, Moon immediately began to hurry towards the doors, dragging everyone else with him. Come on, we gotta go check. Wait, hold on, slow down, Roxy protested, tripping over something and smacking right into Chica, who tried her best to hold her steady. Moon gave them time to keep up, his eyes bobbing up and down in the dark, his hooks scraping against each other in his urgency. Gregory never got a good look at the office doors until they finally stopped at the back wall. Let me out. Gregory knocked on the inside of Freddie. Please. Freddie did as he said, lowering Gregory to the floor. The cold returned worse than ever, goosebumps rippling up his skin, like being thrown into the Arctic Ocean. Immediately, an unseen roach took flight, smacking him in the ear, making him squeak and duck away as it disappeared. Gregory straightened up in hope, ears straining, eyes darting all around, searching for any traces of his brother. Come on, please. He picked up on a detail that didn't quite make sense to him. The heartbeat was gone. The racks had ended abruptly behind them, a large gap between them and the far wall. He caught sight of bare concrete, black blots in corners, a splintered wooden beam covered in green growths. His lungs wheezed with the oppressive dust, his eyes stinging as they were forced to blink rapidly to clear themselves. 3 doors stood in front of them. One was made of cracked wood, simply labeled restroom. The second was made of heavy concrete, a series of locks and a keypad blocking it, labeled stairs. But the third door, it was made of wood covered in flaky gray paint, cracked open with a tiny sliver of light peeking out. It had no label. Moon let go of Chica's hand, creeping up to the door, cautiously peering inside and nudging it open the rest of the way. Pale yellow light filtered towards them, casting much of the surrounding area into view. The racks were full of mostly bowling pins, bowling balls, bowling shoes, everything to do with bowling. But there was also extra paper, spare parts, and bottles of cleaning chemicals. Spiders crawled away from the circle of light, beetles fluttering into damp corners. The animatronics were drawn to the light in the room. They stepped inside. Gregory started coughing again. The smell of roadkill seeped into the walls of his esophagus. A cloud of flies filled the air with a droning buzz, dispersing when the newcomers got too close. Again, the muffled screaming in his head reared up, trying to break through. He managed to swallow it down, sticking close to Freddie. A fluorescent light hung from the ceiling, flickering half-heartedly and filled with dead flies. A far wall was filled by a desk covered in so much paper he couldn't see the original color of the wood. A computer, shut down for now, was set somewhere at the back of that labyrinth of notes and reports, empty red pens thrown around carelessly in the mess. And there, in front of the desk, lied 2 rectangular black boxes. They weren't very large, about the size of a dog bed. Cords peeled off the sides, leading to a part of the wall where a circuit board was mounted, Dread grew inside Gregory with each heartbeat, finding it harder and harder to breathe as Moon approached the first box, just as confused as everyone else. He spread his catchers over it, digging into the locks on the side of the box, clicking them off. He creaked it open, a hiss released from the inside. "What?" Moon said, squinting. The others leaned in, Gregory doing the same. Lying inside was a small rabbit suit. It looked just like Vanny's, but it was only big enough to fit someone Gregory's size. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Moon slowly, carefully, dug his hooks into the faceplate, prying it open to see what was inside. Gregory relaxed a little. It was empty. Moon moved on to the second box now, checking to see if it was the same. The lid cracked open just like before, and everyone leaned in to look. It was a second rabbit suit, the same size as the first. This time, it was crawling with the buzzing backs of flies, a wave of the pestilent insects lifting off and then circling back around, not wanting to give up their prize so easily. Wait, Moon reached to the faceplate, wires trembling as he unhooked it, cranking the rabbit open to reveal what was inside. This one wasn't empty. With one sharp yank at the back of Gregory's mind, everything blanked out. No, please, no! Moon staggered back, just screaming and screaming. The others leaned in, only to cry out in horror when they saw it too. Gregory was weirdly disconnected from the scene as it unfolded. He felt like an unplugged TV. He could only watch the effect that it had on the others, his thoughts feeling like they had evaporated behind his face. No, please wake up! Moon began pleading, his voice shredding with the pain of what he had seen. No, she didn't do this, she wouldn't do this, please, no! Monty backed up into the wall so hard it knocked one of the nearby filing cabinets over. He didn't react to the crash, instead clamping his hands over his mouth, staring up at the ceiling with huge, shivering eyes. Chica buried her face in Roxy's shoulder, a strangled sob escaping her, while Roxy stared on with her weak eye, her face stricken with shock. And then Freddy snatched Gregory back from the gory mess that they had found, covering his eyes. Don't look. Freddy stammered to Gregory. But it was too late. Things were still for a few seconds. Not peaceful, just frozen. The ringing in his ears was only broken by the screams. Gregory thought that those sounds were coming from himself, but it turned out to be the others instead. And, oh God, even though they didn't know the kid, they were still reacting as strongly as a living person would. Roxy buried her hands in her face. Monty wobbled and sat down heavily against the wall. Chica tried to help Moon in a hopeless attempt at CPR, even though rigor mortis had already begun. And that imagery made the reality of what they had found ram into him like a charging bull, breaking that tiny moment of stillness. Gregory's body convulsed against Freddy, fighting, yelling. No, let me go! What did she do to him? Moon just kept on screaming in a way that none of them had heard from him before, begging for what they'd found to wake up, his voice following the same patterns that Gregory's thoughts were now going. Please, no, not this, please. And yet, Gregory wasn't really surprised. He had known. Buried deep down was the simple fact that there was no way James was still alive. It didn't matter how important he was to Gregory. It didn't matter that he was just a kid and hadn't grown up to live his own life yet. It didn't matter that he promised to be back by tomorrow. Because this wasn't a fantasy world with a happily ever after waiting for them at the end. This was reality. And reality had people like Vanessa living in it. Gregory had known it was Vanessa. He knew that he couldn't trust her before even stepping foot in the building. When Gregory had been attempting to break in, he witnessed her taking a pair of bloody, hole-filled shoes out into the dumpster. He had done his best to ignore it, to hope that there was still a chance to save him and stop being a coward. But he had been too late. Gregory cried, he pleaded, he yelled at Freddy to let him see, but he did not let him go, no matter how hard Gregory beat at him with his tiny fists. For a while, that's all the world became. Gregory couldn't feel anything but a horrible, cramping nausea. It was like he was floating far out of his body, becoming the air and the walls instead, anything but the shivering, crying little boy that was hiding away in Freddy's arms. The whole world ended, all of it. He was just numb, watching himself shudder, weep, gag, staring at the horrible scene in total disbelief. No, this wasn't the answer. This wasn't the answer. This wasn't supposed to happen. He was supposed to... This wasn't happening. It wasn't. This couldn't be the answer to all of this. He had to go back. He had to check again. He wasn't gone. James was okay. That wasn't him. They made a mistake. That couldn't be him. Gregory stared at a spot on the ground, 3 crumpled post-it notes lying there thoughtlessly, burning into his retinas to replace the bloody mess that he had caught a glimpse of. The notes were the only thing that he could see now, even though it didn't make any sense for his mind to be focusing on the floor, unable to read whatever pointless red-inked letters had been written there. He stared at the stupid post-it notes, and then it came back, the sight of the mangled remains. No, 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 no! The notes on the floor, a dead spider. The red. There had been so much red. Gone. He was gone. This couldn't be happening. Please, please. Everything was getting colder and colder. Red. The red letters on the note. Spider. The image came back again, the color of raw meat, almost beyond recognition. Why did she do that? Why would anyone do that to another human being? Please, please, no, that couldn't be real. Please, please, no. Gregory just kept on going in circles, getting nowhere. He was shaking too bad to stand, and so was Freddy. Both of them just kneeled on the ground together, trying to find their senses again. The other people around them did the same, their agony radiating through the room. Because they had failed. The animatronics that had promised that they would protect children at all costs, the people that had sworn to never let another tragedy occur inside their bloodstained company, had failed. All the way out into the dusty, roach-filled storage room, the secret office's door slammed closed and locked. Gregory still didn't look up. He didn't care. It didn't matter. He was about to wake up. He had to wake up. He was fine. He was perfectly safe. They were home, sleeping in their tattered bed. He would wake up any minute now and see him, and... The only reason he ever came out of the shock was because of the sudden yells from the others. What the... Oh, wait, who are... Gregory's head was finally lifted, staring out back at the path between the aisles, the one that used to lead to the secret office's door. The closed door. Closed? Something was watching them from the dark. Something huge. The only feature he could distinguish was 2 blazing, firework pink eyes. Chills rattled up through his insides, freezing in place beside Freddy as he registered that he was in danger, that he was being watched, unable to comprehend what he was looking at. His eyes slowly adjusted, letting the image seep into his memory properly, replacing the other ones. It was a huge figure beside a smaller one. He recognized the smaller one by the messy blonde hair pulled back into a ponytail. The outlines of her segmented shells stuck out in the dark, the suit incomplete at the moment. Vanessa had taken off the white rabbit's head, the red eyes peeking out from under her arm, her real head sticking up from the metallic shoulders. But the thing standing beside Vanessa, it had to be another animal-based animatronic, but it was in such bad shape it looked more like a standing corpse. Its posture was uneven, one arm larger and hanging heavily at its side, while the other was pulled up to compensate for the weight. All of its features were cast in sharp shadows, the lights of its eyes showing him black, oily stains that leaked down from every opening in its face. Glints of corroded metal stuck out across its shoulders and chest, the shell so badly worn that the paint was completely gone, the original colors of it hidden beneath gray and brown streaks. Long, ragged ears fell down on either side, marking it to be modeled after a floppy-eared rabbit. Nobody moved. The two rabbits just stared at them, watching. "You weren't supposed to see that," Vanessa said, reaching towards them. "Moon, Moon's infuriated shriek erupted through the quiet, dusty air. Within a second, Moon had cleared the distance between them, hurtling right at Vanessa. Gregory saw, for a flash of a second, a look of genuine surprise and fear break through her usually collected expression. Vanessa threw herself aside, the rabbit behind her not reacting to Moon at all. He skidded to a stop, completely ignoring the filthy animatronic and running after Vanessa instead, who was fleeing to the left. "Wait, Moon, we have to..." Freddy tried, hurrying out into the storage room again, the others following. But it was too late to stop him. Moon was lost in his rage. Vanessa and Moon were already down the stairs door past the keypad's lock, crashing down the steps in a vicious chase. And so his yells and clanking footsteps faded, and they were left alone with the broken animatronic. The animatronic rabbit shook unsteadily, sucking trembling breaths in and out of clogged pipes, rusted liquids drenching his chin. His crazed pink eyes spazzed over each of them, searching. Gregory had no idea who this was, but the others did. "Bonnie?" Freddy choked out. "How?" "Oh no," Monty shivered, backing up a step. Bonnie's corroded pink eyes snapped to the metal gator, staggering back like he'd been slapped. Then his lips pulled back into a snarl, revealing rows of jagged, rusted teeth. "You," he hissed. Without any more warning than that, Bonnie charged. February 19th, 2082. Project Security Private Email. To Jeremy Miller, from Vanessa Miller. Subject, "You're an idiot." Jerry, I get that you don't care what I think, but scrapping Bonnie is probably the worst idea you've had yet. His insomnia is treatable, and it's only been getting worse recently because of all your stupid new rules. Bonnie has been a long-time favorite mascot of this company. Do you really think that the public is going to be completely understanding of your decision to replace him? Don't do anything stupid. To Vanessa Miller, from Jeremy Miller. Subject, "You're an idiot." I have already made up my mind. Bonnie is too expensive to keep around. Trust me, nobody is going to miss it, not after all the times it's misbehaved and pissed customers off. You've heard what everyone's been saying about Bonnie, and I don't care if a bunch of old fans get their feelings hurt. This place needs a new bass player. The only reason I'm even doing this is because Jack just happened to be a donor, and the family agreed that we can use his body. Besides, I thought you wanted this project to continue. Why are you complaining all of a sudden? This is what you asked for. To Jeremy Miller, from Vanessa Miller. Subject, "You're still an idiot." If you're going to do it anyway, you might as well use my idea. It's too late for Jack. His death wasn't violent. It was just a simple and blameless biological slip-up, and that's not enough. Find someone else, try my suggestion, then begin the awakening. There is no use in doing it again if we don't change up the variables. You're just gonna get the same product and then blame it on me. I'm starting to think you don't actually want this to work. To Vanessa Miller, from Jeremy Miller. Subject, you're still an idiot. I am willing to awake one more test subject, but I'm not going to bend any further. If the new technology we have is still not sufficient enough to fully restore Jack, it's over, and we will just need to come up with a new character to put in Bonnie's place so this experiment isn't a complete waste of resources. Unlike you, I don't want to take it a step too far and torture a real living human being to death just to see if we can break the laws of nature. Don't do anything stupid. Project Security Private Email. To all, from Jeremy Miller. Subject, instructions. Do not kill Bonnie. Just paralyze and connect it to the new charging port beside the dump. Make sure none of the animatronics see it. If it takes damage, there will be severe punishment. We may need it back later if Monty fails or turns out to be even worse than Bonnie. Well, Moon's scream was the second loudest I've screamed for the sake of this story here, so yeah, before you all leave, I think that this section of the video should be more specific about my progress on the rewrite, so you guys are able to better follow what's going on my end, so, you know, you'll understand if we ever get delayed or something in the process of making this. So right now I'm basically like, you know, whenever you're watching a video and there's a red line chasing a gray line, and the gray line represents how much the internet has already loaded for you, and you're just praying that the gray line moves faster than the red line so things don't buffer constantly. I am basically the gray line right now, and I can't predict the future to see if I will stay ahead of the red line, but I can prepare you for it by letting you guys know my progress right now. So yeah, right now, the things that I need to do to get a chapter out is, 1, actually write it. Yes, I've already written 90% of the rewrite, but a few of the chapters I've decided aren't good enough, so I'm going to redo them, similar to, you know, what happened to Chica's chapter and Monty's chapter, so there's no telling how soon the new versions are going to be available. And then the second thing I need to do is voice act it, which requires multiple hours spread over a couple of days, sitting in this hot closet trying my best to act even though everything I've done is self-taught. So then after that I need to edit the audio, which again takes at least 3 or 4 days of constant work and going back and forth between files and regulating the timing and deciding which takes to keep and which takes to scrap, and that all just, yeah, it takes forever. Then after that, I need to add the sound effects, which is multiple days of hitting things inside this closet and beating the crap out of this chair, followed by hours of applying the audiobook portion to the sound effects so it doesn't like overpower the reading itself, but it still is loud enough to be heard in the background. My voice gave out again. That happened last chapter. Okay, we're just gonna keep on going. I'm not doing this again. And then finally, I need to finalize it. That is a day or two of pulling the entire thing together and adding special sound effects that I could only acquire on YouTube, and adding the lore and the intro and the post-episode talk that I'm doing right now. And then I'm finally done. But the worst part is that on top of all that, I have to do all of this while recovering from a long-term hand injury, so it's not like I can work as much as I want to do all those steps in time. After I have to do a few days of work like that, where it's just like one of those steps, I have to literally take a few days off so my hands stop screaming at me, and then I can continue to the next step once I can move my fingers again. So yeah, all of that takes a very long time, mostly because I'm doing this 100% on my own. People have offered to help me in this project, but I'm determined to do it on my own because if I try to work with other people, I will probably become toxic and force them to overwork themselves, because that's how I treat myself, so I don't want to subject anyone else to that. So anyway, the current progress that I have with the next few chapters are 22 is written, voice acted, and has sound effects, but I still need to edit and finalize it. 23, 24, 25, and 26 are all written, but not voice acted or edited at all. 27 and 28 still need to be redone. They're like rewritten and stuff. They're, you know, another example of a chapter that I tried to redo, even though I have the previous version of that chapter already, and I just need to scrap it, and I need to write the new version with all the extra edits and stuff. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get all of those things done in time, but just in case if I fall behind, I just wanted to show you guys that I'm currently doing everything that I can with my budget of $0 in pocket lint. So yeah, if things go okay, I'll post chapter 23 2 weeks from now. If I don't post it, just assume that I'm tangled up in that process of like 4 or 5 different steps of multiple days of work. So yeah, if I don't post it, just assume that I'm delayed right now, and I'll post it as soon as it's finished and stuff. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. Thank you all for watching. Bye.